In 9 says that the heart of man is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Our hearts are deceitful. And the danger is that they can even deceive you. You can deceive yourself. You can lie to yourself. And you know that this is a lie, but you still believe it. But I don't care how long you believe it. A lie is a lie. And three, stay a lie. You see, there is a law of cause and effect in this world. Everything we experience in life has an origin. There is some place it all started. And sometimes we see the consequences of the problem without knowing what the problem is. I have a good brother in Kenya that say that in life things don't go wrong. They start wrong. When you are built on the wrong foundation, everything you build on top of a wrong foundation will not last when the storm of life will come. And you can trust me on this one. It's just like this paper. If I drop it, it's going down on the ground. Storms, you will face storms. You will have problems. You will face circumstances, different difficulties. And the danger is that most of us deal with consequences of problems instead of dealing with the problem itself. I had an anger problem when I was growing up. I don't know, for some reason, I think everybody had just the spiritual gift of pissing me off. I mean, it was just, I didn't know how to deal with it. It felt like everybody that came into my life just knew the right word to say to piss me off. And I couldn't control myself. When I was getting so angry, I would start throwing things away, and it was just so bad. And I would thought that he was the problem, especially my young brother Zeph. Every time I thought that, man, this dude is the problem. He always comes to me, and then I beat him up. Then he stabbed my brother, then my older sister. I was like, man, I think she got the same demon now. She needs the deliverance. And all this time, I didn't know. I didn't know that I was the problem. You see, when you fight the wrong battle in your life, you've already lost in advance. I don't care how hard you fight. If you're not fighting the right battle, you've lost. So, where does the struggle come? There are three sources where the struggles you might face today may have come from. The first one is inheritance. In Numbers 14, verse 18, the Bible says that the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity of the father, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, upon to the third and fourth generation. So, inheritance is normally transmitted through your genes. There is nothing you can do about it. At least that's what they taught us. That's what biology tells us. You can have some of these behaviors. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's sexual addiction, maybe it's alcohol addiction. And you're just wondering, where did all this come from? I mean, where did it start? And the reality is, sometimes it's not you. Maybe it's your grandfather, something that has just been in your family all this time long. I don't know if you've seen people or families where anger is an issue for everybody. Like, literally, everyone has the same problem. Oh, it gets to a point, I've seen a lot of black Americans' families. It gets to a point where no matter how good a child is, it just goes wrong. You just wonder, but this child was, I thought this dude was going to make it. And he gets, let's say, to 16. Every male that gets to 16 goes to jail. And it goes on for 20 generations. And people tell you, well, that's the norm in our family. It's not the norm. It's something that gotta be dealt with. And unless you deal with it, nothing is going to change. You see, look at what's funny in the Bible. You know, Abraham lied about Sarah, right? He said, well, Sarah is my sister, not my wife. Isaac lied about Rebekah. Have you read that? He also said that Rebekah was his sister. But Jacob was a liar. Now, he might start weak on the first level. It's just something everybody can deal with. And on the second level, it gets stronger. On the third level, it keeps on getting stronger. And as time goes, unless someone breaks the chain, you just keep on getting worse, worse, and worse. That's what I said in the beginning. If you don't deal with the problem right now, I don't think it's going to be solved by itself. No, that doesn't happen. And even David, you know, David was not a legit son. He was conceived in iniquity. Everything he did, David was conceived out of sin. In Psalm 51:5, he says, behold, I was shaped in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me. David was not a legit son. His father and his mother were married. That's why Eliab was kind of jealous of him, because he wasn't from the same mother. And now, Solomon was born out of a sinful relationship, a relation that God did not approve. When David, in 2 Samuel 11:22, the Bible says that it came to come in the evening tide, that David arose from his bed and walked up on the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. That was the wife of one of his soldiers. And David had the soldier killed because he loved his wife. And out of that union came Solomon. And you all know about Solomon. His whole life was about women. And the same women led him away from God. So, as time goes, things won't get better if you don't deal with them. They get worse. But to overcome inheritance sin, inherited struggle or sins, David had a secret. He built his house on Jesus. He built his life on God. Something interesting the Bible says in the book of Titus 3:5. There's not by the works of righteousness which we have done, but according to his mercy, he has saved us by washing of regeneration. I love the word. I don't know if renewing. Right, that's the right word. Regeneration. Having new genes in you. So from the time you give your life to Jesus, the genes of your parents or grandparents or grand-grandparents should not have influence on you. You have new genes. And those are the genes of Jesus. And we should bear in us the marks of Jesus. So the only way you can get rid of inherited sins from your parents is by giving your life to Jesus. David said again in Psalm 27:4, in God is my salvation and my glory, the rock of my strength, and my refuge is in God. My refuge is in God. The second source of our struggle are childhood experiences. You see, your childhood experiences can affect you today if you're not careful. I was very insecure as a child. I told you, every time I look at a mirror, I didn't see the dude that I want to see. You know, my young brother, every time I went with him somewhere, well, he was the handsome dude, and I was just like this flower. They even talk about me. I was just standing there, and listening to them. And as time went by, the anger in me grew, the jealousy. And every time I felt hungry and I wanted to do something, hatred came in me. Bitterness was born out of that. It's not that my parents didn't love me, they loved me. And I mean, when I think about it today, I'm like, wow, I never realized that. And time went by. The childhood experiences started affecting me. You see, today when I look at someone and I see that the person is extremely insecure, there's always something I say to myself. It didn't start today. One thing I can tell you is every time you see someone behaving weirdly, some behaviors you don't like, don't be prompt to judge the person. Try to listen to the story of the person. And sometimes you will find out a lot of stuff. I mean, I work with people, and one of these dudes I work with, he has a degree in BCIS, Computer Information System. But he works at the same place with me, and all this time I'm thinking, man, this dude has a degree. What on earth is he doing in this company? And one day I went to him and I was like, hey, yo, you have a degree in BCIS? He was just like, yeah. I was like, for real? He said, yeah. And I looked at him, I was like, can you tell me what on earth are you doing in this company? He was just like, oh, I went to look for a job and I couldn't find one. And I was like, why? And he started telling me the story of his life. And I went to my friend back, Isaac, who is right there in the back, and he's sitting next to me. I was just like, man, this dude got a story. You see, when you hear someone's story, then you can understand why they behave the way they do. Because whether you like it or not, childhood experiences have consequences. Look, David, in 1 Samuel 16:11, the Bible says that, and Samuel said to Jesse, hear all thy children. Now, he's asking Jesse. Jesse has come into his house to anoint someone, to anoint the king. And David is not there. And David's father has brought all the children. And where's David? And the prophet Samuel is asking, are all these your children? You don't have anyone else? Because God keeps on telling me that the king is not among these people that you've presented me. So David has been forgotten by his own father. Can you imagine? Like, they're counting the children, and then they get to Daniel, Joshua. And then, where is Zipporah? Oh, Zipporah. Think about it. Being forgotten by your own parent. David grew in a lot of insecurity. He was not accepted by his siblings. His father forgot him. His siblings rejected him. In 1 Samuel 17:28, the Bible says, I know thy pride. This Eliab, his own brother, talking. And the nothingness of thine heart. For thou art come down that you may see the battle. His own brother, David, has come down to bring them bread. And this dude is right there saying, man, I know what you've come down for. Because I know you. He grew up in rejection, in fear. And where do you think he went to find his security? In women. That's right. Now you wonder why David loved a lot of women? Because that's where he found his security. He spent all his life being rejected, being not accepted. Even the king Saul, when he saw him, was just like, boy, you don't know what you're putting yourself into. All this rejection. And he wanted to find his refuge in women before he found it in God. But here's the reality about childhood experiences. The first thing you should know that you don't choose your parents. I don't care whether your parents are drunkard, if you were born out of prostitution or whatever. You do not choose. You don't have strength over that. That's just a fact. Secondly, you don't choose your skin color. You don't choose your childhood experiences. No matter how hard or docile child you are, you can't choose it. It just happens to be there. So instead of focusing on your past, you should look toward the future and forget your experiences of the past. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians 5:17 that therefore, if any man be in Christ, is a new creature. All things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. When you surrender your life to Jesus, no matter what you did in the past or whatever you've been through in your life, it's past. And Jesus gives you a new opportunity. He gives you new hope. He gives you a new chance to do things differently. And he gives you a new family as well. Being mad at your father who raped you or your mother who didn't accept you will not change anything today. And the third source of our struggles are the wrong choices we make. If you read the story of Samson, you can see that everything that happened in Samson's life was not a result of his parent disobedience or his childhood experiences.